Hello, we can start the second part of the presentation. I think yes. Robert Munteanu from Adobe will say a few words about open development software. So Robert, please.
Thanks, Alex. First of all, a disclaimer. You'll notice two people on the slides. I'm neither of them. Um, so one of my colleagues basically invented and developed the concept of open development. One of my colleagues, another, did these slides, but I get all the glory and talk to you about it. So that out of the way, I'm going to start with simple questions. So what do you know? What do you guys know about Adobe products? What does Adobe do? One product name. Photoshop, something else. Adobe Pass, something else. Okay, so we don't do most of these things we don't do here, right? We don't do any of those desktop things like Photoshop, Flash, or PDF that you guys are pretty much aware of. We do, I had a surprise about 5 years ago when I got a call from a recruiter saying, hey, want to go join Adobe? I'm doing Java. What are you thinking? Well, to my surprise, we do a lot of cool stuff here with Java. But I don't want to talk to you about what we do. I want to talk about how we do things. And the background is that my organization within Adobe has deep open source roots. The product that we're working on, called Adobe Experience Manager, was created by a company that did a lot of work in the open source at the Apache Software Foundation. So when you're doing that in an enterprise, there's a challenge. How do you translate the concepts of open source development, of healthy open source development, into an enterprise? So we try to do something which is inclusive to everyone. And the first thing that you get in a company are phone calls or closed quarter meetings. And while on the short term, those may be productive to you, on the long term, they kill spreading of knowledge. So how do you get up to date after a conference? Well, someone has to sit down, take the minutes, find the list of participants or people who are interested, and then get them informed. When you try to do everything on a mailing list, well, then everyone is informed by default. So rule one, if it didn't happen on the developer list, then it did not happen. But of course, email, how does this work? I love technology. So of course, email only gets you so far. It's good for conversations, but it's not that structured. So you do issue tracking. Again, if you're working on something, it needs to be on the issue tracker. Otherwise, it's simply off everyone's lists. Again, this is more of a good idea than, or a really bad idea if it doesn't happen, than a general open development rule. But if it's not in the SCM system, it doesn't exist, right? No shipping of patches that aren't in the SCM system, no developer private stuff. If it's important, you need to give it a location to be able to identify it. And most of the time you do that by an URL. So rather than spending the time to write a 4K email about this very important issue, you probably want to give it a permanent home somewhere. And if you have short, explicit URLs like a ticket ID, Jira ID, like GPP2048, people will even start referring to that issue by the name. So if a topic is important enough, give it a permanent home. And all of these things are nice when you are in the loop. Let's say you're actually part of the distribution list, of the mailing distribution list when those things happen. But it's also important to have them publicly accessible for people who just joined up, or for people who are on vacation and simply deleted all the incoming emails after a week because there are 5,000 emails. So just as important, get an archive, get a permanent archive, which sort of brings the mailing lists and the permanent URLs together. So if you have mailing lists and you archive them, they have permanent URLs, and that knowledge is preserved and put together. I may be probably quicker than 5 minutes or the 10 that I was allocated, but that's the gist of what I wanted to tell you. If you have any questions, I'm happy to take them now, one or two, and we can discuss more after the whole session is over. If you guys take a picture and post it on Twitter of my talk, this is a pretty nice one. I will give you a T-shirt in exactly 8 years from now. Just make sure to remind me. Okay, cool. Thank you.